30,000 railroad workers versus Hitler. The price was terrible. September 1944. Occupied Netherlands. The Allies are at the borders. Liberation is close. Just a few more weeks, and Holland will be free. But Hitler needs time. He needs trains to move troops, weapons, tanks, stop the advance. Without trains, his army is dead. A radio message comes from London. The Dutch government in exile gives the order. Stop all trains, sabotage the transportation system, now. And 30,000 railroad workers do something insane. They abandon their posts, all of them, simultaneously, in the middle of war, under Nazi occupation, when refusal means execution. What happened next became one of the most tragic and heroic stories of World War II. A story paid for with 20,000 innocent lives. Context: the last chance for freedom. September 1944, the Allies liberated France, Belgium. Now it's the Netherlands' turn. British Field Marshal Montgomery devises a bold plan, Operation Market Garden. The plan is simple and insane at the same time. Drop 35,000 paratroopers behind enemy lines. Capture key bridges across rivers. Open the path for tank columns to the north. If it works, the war ends by Christmas 1944. September 17, 1944. The operation begins. The sky over Holland darkens with parachutes. Thousands of soldiers fall onto Dutch soil. Local people are ecstatic. They run into the streets, wave flags, embrace the liberators. Freedom is already close. But there's a problem. The Germans still control the railroads, can quickly move reinforcements, surround the paratroopers, crush them with numbers. And then the order comes from London to the railroad workers. Stop the trains, at any cost. 00. Say no. September 17, 1944, exactly at the moment the operation begins. Across all of Holland, 30,000 railroad workers walk off the job. Engineers leave locomotives. Dispatchers abandon control panels. Switchmen leave their posts, simultaneously, across the entire country. Trains freeze on the tracks. Stations empty. The entire transportation system, dead. The Germans are in shock. They try to run the trains themselves but don't know the routes. Don't understand the signaling system. Can't coordinate movement. Their military logistics collapse before their eyes. Troops get stuck. Tanks can't relocate. Ammunition isn't delivered. The Allies gain precious time. The strike works, but the price will be terrible. Nazi revenge. Let them starve. When Hitler learns about the strike, he flies into a rage. This isn't just sabotage, it's public humiliation. The Dutch are openly spitting in the Reich's face. He can't break the strike by force. The railroad workers have gone underground. Can't restart the system. There's no one. So he decides to punish the entire nation. The order is signed personally by Hitler. Block all food supplies to Western Netherlands. No trucks, no barges, no trains, nothing. Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, Utrecht. 4.5 million people cut off from food. Total embargo. If the railroad workers won't work, let the whole country pay. October 1944. Food deliveries stop. At first, people don't panic. Many have reserves. Some hide potatoes. Some smoke fish. But reserves run out quickly. November. December. Winter comes. And hunger winter begins. The hunger winter. Hunger winter. 20,000 victims. Winter 1944 to 1945 is one of the coldest in history. Temperature drops to -20 degrees Celsius. Canals freeze. Rivers stop. Transportation completely paralyzed. And there's no food. People eat everything they can find. Tulip bulbs. They boil them, fry them, eat them raw. They're bitter, tough, almost inedible. But it's something. Sugar beets. Dig them from frozen ground with bare hands. Grass. Bark from trees. Leaves. Children stop growing. Their bellies swell from hunger. Legs become edematous. The elderly die first, then the sick, then the weak. Amsterdam's streets fill with bodies. Families burn furniture to stay warm, tear down fences, break wooden houses for firewood. Every day, hundreds of deaths. Mothers watch their children die in their arms. Can't do anything. Just hold them. And cry. 20,000 to 25,000 people die from starvation. This isn't war. This isn't bombing. This is organized genocide by starvation. Hitler is taking revenge. For the strike. For resistance. Railroad workers. Choice between duty and death. The railroad workers see what's happening. See corpses in the streets. Hear children crying. Know that this is because of them. If they returned to work, trains would run, food would come, people wouldn't die. Some can't take it. Come to the Germans. I'll return, just stop this. The Germans shoot them on the spot. Too late. Traitors aren't needed. The remaining railroad workers stay underground. The Gestapo hunts them, bursts into homes, arrests families. Hundreds of railroad workers are shot, publicly, for intimidation. Hundreds more sent to concentration camps. But most hold on. They hide with friends, in basements, in churches. The resistance smuggles them from city to city. They know, if they surrender, it was all for nothing. Operation Market Garden failed. The Allies retreated. Liberation postponed. But the trains still stand, and the Germans still can't move troops effectively. The strike continues. 9 months. Through winter, through hunger, through death. Audrey Hepburn, the girl who ate tulip bulbs. Among the millions starving is a 15-year-old girl named Audrey Hepburn. She lives in Arnhem, the epicenter of Operation Market Garden. Her family is trapped in the battle zone. Audrey's stepfather worked for the Nazis. The family is despised. There's almost no food. Audrey sees Allied paratroopers fall from the sky, sees Germans surround them, sees hope for liberation crumble. And then, the hunger begins. Audrey's family eats tulip bulbs, boils grass, drinks water from canals. Audrey is a teenager. Her body is growing. She needs food. But there's no food. Her weight drops to 88 pounds, 40 kilograms. She can barely walk. She develops anemia, jaundice, edema. Doctors later say, 1 more month, and she would have died. But she survives. When in May 1945 the Allies finally liberate Holland, Audrey is among the first to receive humanitarian aid. British soldiers hand out chocolate. Audrey takes a bar, looks at it, and cries. She hadn't eaten chocolate for 2 years. Later, Audrey Hepburn becomes one of the most famous actresses in history. Roman Holiday, Breakfast at Tiffany's, My Fair Lady, icon of style, symbol of elegance. But she never forgot the hunger winter. In 1988, at age 59, Audrey becomes a Goodwill ambassador for UNICEF. She travels to Ethiopia, Sudan, Somalia, Bangladesh, works with starving children, personally, holds them in her arms. Journalists ask, "Why do you do this?" She answers, "Because I was that child. I know what it's like to die of starvation, and I can't just watch." Until the end of her life, Audrey couldn't see wasted food, always finished everything to the last crumb. The hunger winter never let her go. Liberation. Too late for 20,000. May 1945. Germany capitulates. Allied forces enter Western Netherlands. People come into the streets, cry, embrace soldiers. The war is over. But joy is mixed with grief. 20,000 people didn't live to see this day. Thousands died in the final weeks of war, literally days before liberation. Railroad workers emerge from hiding, return to their posts. Trains start moving again. The first trains carry food, tons of bread, meat, milk, medicine. People stand along the tracks, cry, wave their hands. But for 20,000, it's too late. The moral question: were they right? After the war, debates begin. Should the railroad workers have struck? One camp says, yes, it was their duty. The strike helped the Allies, paralyzed the German army, accelerated liberation, saved thousands of soldiers. The other camp says, no, the price was too high. 20,000 civilians died, most elderly, children, sick. Operation Market Garden failed anyway. Liberation was delayed by months. Who's right? Many railroad workers carried guilt their entire lives. We knew people would die, but we thought it would be hundreds, not tens of thousands. Some said, I wouldn't have struck if I'd known. Others, I would strike again. Freedom was worth it. There's no right answer, only an impossible choice. Aftermath. Scars that don't heal. After the war, railroad workers were honored as heroes. Monuments, streets named after them, honorary awards. The government declared the strike an act of national resistance. But the hunger winter left scars on an entire generation. Children who survived the famine suffered their whole lives from heart problems, diabetes, psychological trauma, developmental delays. Studies showed children born during the hunger winter had a 3 times higher risk of schizophrenia. Hunger changed their DNA. Audrey Hepburn died in 1993 from cancer. Doctors believed her illness was linked to malnutrition in her youth. The hunger winter killed her, just 50 years later. Final truth: the price of freedom. This story isn't about perfect heroes. It's about an impossible choice. 30,000 railroad workers decided to sacrifice, not only themselves, but their entire nation, for freedom. They knew people would die. They didn't know 20,000 would die. They made a choice, and lived with it their entire lives. Was it the right one? History calls them heroes. Monuments stand. Names are engraved in stone. But they called themselves survivors of an impossible choice. The trains ran again. The country was free. But the ghosts of the hunger winter never left. Would you have gone on strike, knowing that children would die because of it? Knowing that mothers would watch their families starve? Knowing that you would survive, but 20,000 wouldn't? The railroad workers know the answer. They said yes, and paid the highest price anyone can pay. Not with their own lives, with the lives of others.